Hi, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I rotate my camera around a scene or object in Blender. I have my scene here with assets from my farm pack. You can get this asset pack on my Gumroad. The link is in the description. First, I set up all the rendering settings that I want, like turning on ambient occlusion, bloom, screen space reflections. Especially, I like to turn the shadow resolution to the highest amount here. As well, turn on the high bit depth. And I'm using the transparent background too, as I'm going to add a background in my editing software later. So first, we are going to press Shift A and add an empty plane axis. This is just an empty axis object that we'll use to rotate our camera. I will keep it in my origin, but you can place it. This empty object will be our rotation point. So place where you want your pivot point of the camera to be. Mine will be in the origin. Now Shift A and add a new camera. I will move my camera in the y-axis and set its rotation around. I will turn my camera to minus 180 degrees in the z-axis, so it's looking towards my scene. I grab the camera, press G and Z to slide it upward, and G and Y to go backwards. Now we are going to make the empty object the parent of our camera. So when we move it, we move our camera together. To do it, select your camera, hold Shift and drag it inside your empty object. Now you can see that your camera is a child of your empty object. And if we rotate the empty object, our camera rotates with it. I like to do a manual rotation to see if all my assets are always visible in the frame. For example, here, the wheelbarrow is almost touching the border, so I will zoom out a little bit. To do that, I will grab the camera, press G, Y to move in the Y-axis, and a little bit in the Z-axis too. For the camera settings, here, I'm using the 4K resolution. I select render region, even though here it doesn't make us any difference. And now you want to select which frame rate you want your animation to be at. I will put mine at 60. And I want my animation to have 6 seconds. So the end frame will be 360. Now to animate, let's grab this border here and slide it upwards. Now grab your empty and press Y and select the rotation. This will create a keyframe in our animation editor. Now I'm going to the last frame and I want to have a full rotation. So I will rotate the empty object around the Z-axis by 360 degrees. And again, I'm going to press the Y button and rotation. Now, if we drag our animation slider, we can see that animation is working. But in this case, I want a smooth rotation. You can see that this default way has a speed variable. It starts slow, gains up speed, and slow down again in the end. To change that, we need to select the keyframes, right-click, and change the interpolation mode. And we are going to interpolate to linear. Now our rotation is the same across the board. And we have a ways mover transition from the end of the clip to the start. Now for the output, before rendering, we want to change our output file location. And that's done here in the output settings under output. I like to create a new folder because we are going to export as PNGs and that will create a lot of files. We can export either as a PNG or an FFmpeg video. The upside for exporting as PNG is that you don't lose your progress if Blender ends up crashing in the middle of the rendering. For a basic scene, it doesn't matter that much, but for something that takes a long time to render, it's important. So I always like to export as PNG, but if you have a simple animation and don't care if you lose a little bit of time if your Blender crashes, you can choose FFmpeg video. Now, having set up the output location and the start and end frame, as well our FPS, you can go to render and render animation. Now that your rendering has finished, we're going back into Blender in the video editing mode to use these images and export them as a video. So back in Blender, go to File, New, and select Video Editing. First, we are going to change the resolution that we want our video to be set in. Select the resolution that you want your video to be in. I will put mine in 2K and select render region. I will change the frame rate to the same as I set up in Blender before, so I have the same duration. And the frame start is 1 and end 360. Set your output directory. And for file format, I'm using FFmpeg video. The encoding, I like to use the MPEG-4, and I like to change the quality from medium quality to high quality. Now to add our images, I go into Add and Image/Sequence. Navigate towards your export location and select all the images. Here it's important to set the start and end frame correctly. My frame start is the 1 and the end is 360. After confirm, you have your files here. Here I check if my settings are correct. I was having a problem that I selected render region, but you are not supposed to select that. So uncheck that and you will be able to export. And if everything's okay, I go to render and render animation. Now you can go to the output location of your video and then you can play it. That's it for this tutorial. I hope this helps you. And if you have any tips that you would like from me to help in your Blender or art projects, please leave them in the comments. And be sure to check out my Gumroad page. There's a bunch of free assets and materials there. The link is in the description. Thanks. Bye bye.